4 o'clock. So I call the meeting to order, the planning meeting, 6th of October 2025. Welcome everyone, and those who are listening to us on live stream, welcome as well. There's no apologies and no leave of absence. Acknowledgement to country. I could skip this, but I will not do that. Let me say my piece. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I recognize that this land was never ceded, and it always was and will always be Aboriginal land. I acknowledge the deep connection that the Aboriginal people have to this land, and I celebrate their ongoing relationship with their country and acknowledge the lessons that I have learned from them. As someone from Fiji, I also draw parallels with the indigenous Fijian people's connection to their vanua, or the land or country. And I recognize the significance of the land and country as the identity, culture, and well-being of the First Nations people of Australia. I also acknowledge the historical injustices that have been perpetrated against the Aboriginal people, and recognize the ongoing impacts of colonization and dispossession, and many who suffered homelessness, and there are those who still suffer homelessness among our First Nations people. And it is my understanding that according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, approximately 25,000 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people experience homelessness on census night in 2021. Confirmation of the minutes. Someone would like to move the minutes of 23rd of July. Moved and seconded. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Carried unanimously. The Councillor, the Deputy Lord Mayor. And there are no items or consideration of supplementary items. Indications of conflict of interest, are there any? Number 5, transfer of agenda items, planning authority items. Number 6, number 7, committee acting as planning authority, rule 29 of the local government meeting procedures. We are now acting as planning authority. 7.1.165 Brisbane Street. For discussion. Councillor Harvey.
I'm happy to move the item. Thanks, Chair.
The item has been moved. Any comments, any discussion, any questions?
Yeah, I think this is a very good development for the site. It's a car park. It's got accommodation. It's got office space as well. So I think it's quite a well-resolved design for that site. The heritage trees kept. The heritage house up at the back corner. It's never been a highly visible house, so I'm quite comfortable that we're making a good decision here, and the officers have made the right decision to approve this development. So I recommend to everyone that it's approved.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other questions?
Can I ask a question, please, to the Director through you, Chair? The 72 car spaces that the development requires is, it seems like a lot for the proposed development. Can you tell me a little bit about that and whether or not that's excessive to the standard?
Through you, Chair, that is what the applicant has applied for. It is, compared to what is acceptable under the planning scheme, still a lower number than the scheme requires, perhaps suggesting that the scheme is being a little bit too demanding there. But having assessed the parking against the performance criteria, our officers were satisfied that there was sufficient parking. I suspect it's a little bit led by what they're expecting in terms of market outcomes, because that is quite a lot of parking to have on site.
Any other questions? Councillor Passau.
Thank you, Chair. Look, this is a terrific development for the site. It's been recommended for approval by our officers. Through you, Chair, I assume that the proponent has worked closely with officers to get to this point, Director?
Through you, Chair, yes, they have. We had quite an extensive pre-app session with the applicant, and they also attended our Urban Design Advisory panel.
Fantastic. So the developer has done the right thing. They've worked with our officers, and as I said on radio, it essentially comes to us almost as a rubber stamp, not full rubber stamp, but almost as a rubber stamp, because the developer has worked so closely with our officers to make sure all the checks and balances are done before we see it. It's a fantastic approach, and the development is exactly the type of development that we need in this city. Mixed use, there's housing, there's commercial space, there's office space, there's good activation of the public street front and public realm. It doesn't really get much better than this. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is one floor higher. So if the developer is listening, I would encourage them to consider whether or not they can come back with an extra floor of residential, which could provide further homes for Hobartians right in our CBD. But the application as is before us has my full support, and I'd love to see more of it, Chair. Thank you.
Any other?
Yes, I do. Look, I welcome this type of development. I have done for years. I really support the mixed use, but let's be realistic. Look, we're all really happy about this, but this is not any affordable housing. These are penthouses. These are the top end. It is providing more housing, but it's providing the top end. Let's get real and be realistic about it. I'd like to see some really good developments where there's a lot of apartments. There's some in the pipeline, I understand. I think that's when we really start seeing some housing. But we missed the boat on some of it. We could have had some that were refused by this council a few years ago as well. So, you know, even though we all want to praise this development, which I do, I think it's a fantastic development, but it's not the be-all and end-all in bringing that real housing that we need in this city.
Deputy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Look, I'm just going to talk about this particular application on its merits, and I think on the merits of this particular application, it's a really wonderful one. I won't reiterate some of the positive aspects that have already been discussed by my colleagues. I did want to add one more positive that I think is a really good step in this particular application, and that's the engineering development number 9, the condition number 9 around motorcycle parking. Now I'll just read it. The number of motorcycle parking spaces approved to be used on the site is 4. And I think that's really wonderful. From my time on the planning committee, sometimes we don't really actually see motorcycle parking being included as part of a DA, so I'm really delighted to see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Lohberger.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I won't take too long, and I will just be repeating what my colleagues have said. It's an excellent development for Hobart. Replacing a car park with mixed use, including accommodation, is fantastic. And I think the fact that there are no objections to this really speaks volumes about the fact that the whole city, I think, is welcoming of these sorts of developments. I suspect it'll be unanimous. I'd be very surprised if it isn't. So I think the same feeling exists around this table. So I'm very supportive of it, Chair, and yeah, I welcome developments like this that replace car parking with accommodation and mixed retail and commercial. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. It feels a big void, doesn't it? I mean, this has been a void as long as I can remember, and hopefully this will light the fuse on developing that corridor where there's all the car sales places and yards and, you know, that commercial end of town, which has been for decades. It's a very historic part of Hobart, and I look forward to seeing if there's anything archaeologically interesting there as well, to one side. Whilst it doesn't have any social housing or affordable housing, I guess though it does in one way loosen up other stock in town. So at the same time, whilst I appreciate Mr. Alderman Zuko's comments on it, it by default of creating extra amount of beds will create other spaces. So all in all, it's all been said tonight, and it's great to finally see some DAs coming across our table of substance. Thank you.
Any other? Councillor
Thank you,
Kitchens.
Chair. Just another question to the Director through you, please. In terms of trees and landscaping on the street frontage, is there a strengthening of the condition that we can add to ensure that that there is community benefit and improvements made along that accessible part where it meets the footpath?
Through you, Chair. So I'll just take a moment to remind myself of the wording of the conditions for landscaping. Through you, Chair, we could certainly add that as advice. I'm just struggling to find there is a condition regarding landscaping.
HER 18 Director.
I suspect that condition relates to the landscaping around the heritage building, which is at the rear of the property as opposed to on the street frontage. But we could certainly add that as advice, that we suggest that there's further landscaping at the front. You're talking about adjacent to the street?
Right.
We could absolutely put that on the permit as advice.
Yes, I'd like to see that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, any other questions? No? Okay. With that addition in there, that advice added, moved by Councillor Harvey, all in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we move on to 8.1 delegation decision report. Any questions before someone moves? No questions. Someone move that will be received. Thank you, Councillor Pasol. All in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried unanimously. 8.2 planning advertising applications. Any questions?
Question?
Councillor Pasol.
Thank you. Item 6. $18 million at Flint House. Is there any reason why that has not been automatically delegated to committee for 21 units?
I think it's already.
Through you, Chair, we might take that one on notice. We'll check the size. So it's still on advertising, so we don't know the final number of representations, which would be one trigger to come to committee, but it's possible that if the size is big enough, then it would come to committee.
Yeah, thank you, Director. It's 21 units, so it is Flint House units though, so they are probably smaller. But I would like to see it not so much as us being an approval body for it, but it's a really important social housing complex for our city. But I will just withhold calling it in for now, but I'll telegraph that I might call it in just for us to all be aware that there's a potentially good development for our city happening that's probably close to what should be referred to us anyway.
Lord Mayor.
Just following on from that, we've previously approved a development at Flint House a few years ago. Is it the same?
I don't know if it's the same one, but we did.
Yeah, so is it, have they come back with a different design, or, because that one was a bit controversial because it basically turns it from an affordable housing place into a luxury housing development. I think it's yeah. So
I'll have to come back to elected members with some further information on that one.
Okay.
Councillor Pasol. Councillor Lohberger, apologies.
That's okay, Chair. I also had a number of questions about Flint House, some of which have been asked. I guess the question that stood out to me is it's already operating as a boarding house and it's applying for permission to do what it's already doing. I assume there's upgrades, significant upgrades as part of the work as well. That's what's going on? Yeah, great, thank you.
Certainly take that on notice as well.
Thank you.
I had a question about number 23 on the list, just at Upper Liverpool Street. It was, I just wondered if we could get any details of what's going on there. 59 to 63 Liverpool Street. It's $1 million job.
Do you know which one that is?
Through you, Chair, that's the ANZ upgrades to the ANZ Bank, I believe.
Do you want any other further?
No, that's fine. I just was wondering what's going on there. That's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Any other? No, someone would like to moved by Councillor Harvey. All in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Someone move 9.1 received in Councillor Harvey. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Questions without notice. Lord Mayor.
Just a question that came a little bit out of what Councillor Kitsos was asking before. When we eventually finalise our Central Hobart planning scheme amendments and our urban design guidelines, to what extent can we put in conditions rather than advice for, you know, in certain circumstances there needs to be landscaping? You know, is that something that we can change in the planning scheme for certain precincts or certain very public streets as part of our amendments to the Hobart plan?
I will take that one on notice. As I understand, that you can basically everything's on the table. If we think that that's an important issue, then we can include those in the provisions that we propose as part of the amendment.
Presumably, yeah, with certain, only
Certain
triggered at certain
parameters.
points, yeah. Okay, good.
Any other questions? No. Someone move that the meeting be closed to the public.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Kitsos. Those all in favour?